and pandemic, as well as our positioning as a member firm of ShineWing International. Probably for those who doesn't know ShineWing International, I can inform you that ShineWing International is the one and only ASEAN hub network of accounting firms. Okay, it is headquartered in Beijing, China, and we here in Indonesia is a member firm of this ShineWing International. Our firm here in Indonesia consists of Suharli, Sugiarto, and Rekan for audit and other assurance services, Hadibroto Consulting for tax and other management consulting, and ShineWing Solutions for accounting and other reporting services. Our aim is to become a world-class accounting and consulting firms with excellent reputation and multiple branches in Indonesia. Currently, we have 5 offices nationwide, which is Jakarta, Tangerang, Surabaya, Batam, and Pekanbaru. We also have 13 audit partners and almost 200 professionals who carry out audit, where this audit is our primary services. As a consulting firm, we also recognize that in the era of digitalization, we must prepare ourselves for environmental changes that will have direct impact on the way we do business. In order to embrace these changes, we have several initiatives that are expected to support our daily activities, especially when this pandemic forces us to change the way we work. The way we communicate internally and with our clients, we acknowledge that these changes require tools that can provide a certain level of comfort in doing our work as consultants, such as, first, face recognition for door access. So in our office, to access the office, you don't need to touch anything. Just show your face to the face recognition equipment. Second, we have a control attendance working from office, clients, or home, all traceable. Third, during this pandemic, we also have an online self-evaluation protocol in order to make sure our people are monitored for their health to avoid the occurrence of the COVID-19 cluster. Fourth, enhance our systems using Teams as a Microsoft-based digital platform for virtual meetings and communications, and to connect our people from anywhere, office, client, and homes. Fifth, currently we are in the process of developing a digital workflow system for our back office. At the same time, we also support a friendly environment. We plan to reduce paper usage by producing electronic documents instead. And the last, there are future plans which we will explore future about the robotic process automation, which can help the audit team in capturing, analyzing data accuracy. Data analytics helps us to strengthen our unique positioning to become a world-class audit firm with exceptional reputation and impacted contribution to be a better living. We are committed to provide a high-quality audit, deliver global expertise in a local context, as well as build respectable reputations. We emphasize 3 areas as our focus in developing our business. First, an archipelago firm. Our firm is present in many provinces in the Republic of Indonesia, which aims to support national economic development throughout the archipelago. Second, Asia Pacific Business Hub. ShineWing Indonesia organizes a global business desk to convey global expertise to many multinational companies in investing in countries in the Asia Pacific region. Third, Indonesia Investment Gateway. ShineWing Indonesia is an investment gateway by providing a special FDI division for investment entering Indonesia and vice versa, a special team for investment and funding activities to other countries. So, before coming to a close of these remarks, once again, I would like to thank Ibu Hani from ACCA, as well as Manish and Alvin for participating in these events and supporting this event, of course. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Back to you, Bu Hani.
Okay. Thanks, Pak Ahmadi, for that wonderful remarks about ShineWing Indonesia, and of course its initiatives in order to embrace change environmental as well as to overcome challenging situation during this pandemic. Next, let me introduce to our speaker, Ibu Hani Karunia, the head of ACCA Indonesia. Ibu Hani was joining ACCA Indonesia from Accenture, where she was the country lead for people mobility services. She brings a wealth of experience in business development, customer service, and sales, including marketing in a number of sectors. She obtained a bachelor degree in accounting from Erlangga University and started her career at KPMG. She has lived and worked in Indonesia and US, where she has lived for over 10 years as she earned her double degree in MBA and MSc, and also gained
Okay, I think we might lost you, but can you hear my voice, Ibu Ani?
Yes, Ibu.
Oh, okay, great.
So I will continue. As the head of SCCA Indonesia, Ibu Hani is also the chief representative at ACCA's representative office in Indonesia for compliance matters. So I would like to invite Ibu Hani to say a few words. Please, Ibu Hani, the platform is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Bu Ani. Selamat pagi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. On behalf of ACCA Indonesia, I would like to say thank you to the wonderful team in ShineWing Indonesia who made this happen, especially to Bapak Ahmadi Hadibroto ACCA as the chairman of ShineWing Indonesia, also Bapak Michael Suharli as the CEO of ShineWing Indonesia. He is also our future members, by the way. And Ibu Eni Ignacia as the Managing Partner Director of SEL Academy for your continued support to ACCA. Without your support, I trust that this moment would not happen. Of course, I also would like to say thank you to our own ALP, LSAF, with the Chief Pak Manish Gidwani, ACCA, and also our speaker today, Mr. Alvin Yong. We're really honored that you made the time for being available for our event today. All in all, also to all the participants today for spending your Saturday morning with us, and certainly hope that you all will gain something from this session. In this occasion, I also would like to welcome ShineWing Indonesia or KAP Suharli Sugiharto and Rekan as ACCA approved employer. Now, as the country head of ACCA, it is natural for me to give an overview of what ACCA and ACCA approved employer is, and words of encouragement before the session today. First, ACCA, or the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, are a thriving global community of more than 227,000 members and 544,000 students based in 179 countries that upholds the highest professional and ethical values. We believe that accountancy is a cornerstone profession of society that supports both the private and public sectors. Now, second, about the ACCA Approved Employer Program. What does this mean? This is a program that recognizes employers' high standards of staff training and development. They are really committed to ensuring our students, affiliates, and members have the right skills, ethics, and competence to add value and drive businesses around the world forward. This means we believe that ShineWing Indonesia or KAP Suharli Sugiharto and Rekan will play a vital role in ensuring their employees have access to regular professional development, support, and upholds the highest levels of employee progression, especially toward the ACCA Professional Qualification Program. Together, ACCA and our approved employer, we are committed to the development of a strong global accountancy profession and the many benefits that this brings to organizations, individuals, and society. Our qualifications develop forward-thinking professionals with the financial and business skills that are essential for the creation of sustainable economies and flourishing societies. Having said that, today we would like to also bring you the focus on one of the trends in the professional world. That is the focus on technology and people. With the pandemic of COVID-19, it has become more apparent that there is a need to prepare ourselves to be ready to get the job that are now become more competitive than ever. Furthermore, it's essential for today's business to use data and technology to make informed decisions, improve efficiencies, reduce costs, and lower risk, which means accountants and finance professionals need to create great value and assist in solving complex business issues, which can play a vital role in business successes. I think without further ado, I'd like to start the session today and give the floor to the team and our wonderful speakers. And thank you again for all the opportunity and also all to the participants as well. Thank you, and I hope you will join. You also will gain a great benefits and also knowledge today from our sessions. Thank you. Back to you, Bu Eni.
Thanks, Bu Hani, for such detailed information about the ACCA program. And of course, ShineWing Indonesia is proud to be an ACCA approved employer. Before we move to our main topic presentations, allow me as a representative of ShineWing Indonesia to give you a brief of information about ShineWing Indonesia, in particular related to our human capital learning and development, which is in line with also us as a ACCA approved employer, because the development is a play important roles on this. And what sort of benefits or programs for example, if you're an ACC alumni or ACC students can get when you join ShineWing Indonesia. As we are committed to provide a high standard of quality service to our clients, we recognize the need to invest more in a professional learning and development. Therefore, the L&D department exists or present to provide a comprehensive, like an annual training curriculum for all staff at all levels. It's from associate to partner levels. And of course, everyone has equal opportunities to develop their technical skills like accounting, auditing, tax, industry specialties, and their personal as well as leadership skills. Furthermore, our collaborations with LSAR, Pak Manish, for accounting education services and management training, it's in Indonesia also strengthens our commitment to the human capital learning and development strategy. And there will be more collaboration initiative will come also, as maybe as I will ask Pak Manish will show it to us about our collaborations. Pak Manish.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be here, and it's so exciting to see that ShineWing has led among the employers the initiative to support not only the employees in their own employees, but they have allowed themselves to enhance their vision, the archipelago vision, to focus more on capacity building, and I think that requires a big vision. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. So congratulations to the ShineWing group, to Pa Hadibroto and Pa Michael Suharli, who have been very supportive of and they see the bigger picture of things. Yeah. So Ms. Diaz, can I ask before I go into the session? There are some collaboration programs that Hani would like us to explain a bit more. Yeah. Right. Next. Okay, let me explain how does ACCA work. Feel free to ask me questions after this event during the Q&A session. So a brief overview is ACCA starts with the diploma. Ms. Diaz, can you confirm, is my voice clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So the entry point, please help me to point out the applied knowledge, Ms. Diaz. The applied knowledge component. This is where you learn about business and technology. I hope you appreciate that technology and business and finance and accounting are inseparable at this era. So when you learn this qualification, you will be learning all of that. It's not a separate thing. It's not like you are specializing in accounting or finance or in leadership only or in technology only. This is an infusion of all these majors into an integrated learning. Yeah, so you learn about technology. So it's important to know what will be the use case of various technologies, how data analytics, how blockchain, and how everything else is used in technology. Then you learn management accounting, financial accounting, and you have a diploma in accounting and business from ACCA. And then you move on to the advanced diploma in accounting and business. Yeah, that's the applied skill level. And in that, you need to do 6 modules. Yeah, so normally, those who already have a bachelor's degree in accounting, you are exempted from the first 4 modules of ACCA. Yeah, so the first 4, Ms. Yes, can you point out to those modules? Yes. So you will most likely start with performance management. Yeah, unless those who are here today, if any of you are CA members, if you can write in the chat box that if you are CA members, please say saya. You have an additional benefit. The whole first 9 modules are exempted for you if you are an Indonesian CA member. Yeah, so you can get exemption from there and you can start with the last 4 papers. Yeah, someone like Pa Michael himself, yeah, he's got exemptions because of he's a CA, Indonesian CA member. Yeah, so if you have the last 4 modules of ACCA, you get the opportunity to get the ACCA title behind your name after you show that you have finished these 4 modules, and then you also have at minimum 3 years of working experience. In addition, you also get opportunity to get the master's degree from University of London, yeah, while you are in Indonesia. Yeah, so this is a very reputable university because the university that is running this, it is UCL, University College London, and University College London, the ranking is 5th in the QS World Ranking, yeah, in 2020. So, it's very, very prestigious to have the MSc from University of London. Yeah, so you can get to do that. Yeah, so the ACCA will take you 4 modules and 2 additional modules from University of London to get the master's degree. Next slide. So these are some of the collaboration programs that we'll be running together with ShineWing Indonesia. So you have the ACCA qualification itself, the ACCA, and then you have the bachelor's degree, the master's degree from University of London. And then we have a lot of certification, competency-based certifications. These are the one. We recently ran this program with the government auditors, PPK, and also there are corporate clients who have also showed interest in the data analytics. So ACCA certificate in data analytics. And then we have our partner today, Mr. Alvin Yong. So he is the founder of Polygon Singapore, and his focus is on and using technology for data analytics and using variety of tools like Excel, using the BI, using variety of tools. Yeah. So later you'll hear from Mr. Alvin. This is certificate and data analytics and visualization. Yeah, so I hope you appreciate that accountants need to analyze data and communicate. So that communication must be in not only in the form of the thick audit report, yeah, which people say, oh, nobody reads. But if you're able to present that in one page in a very nice visualized data, then the investors will appreciate you. Yeah, then you have ACCA diploma in IFRS. This is a full-fledged qualification for focusing on all the IFRS, including the latest IFRS 9, PSAK 71, 72, 73, ya, IFRS 9, 15, and also the IFRS 16, the leasing standard. Also, the latest changes in IFRS, the conceptual framework. Yeah, so the full-fledged IFRS, because I think you know, there are very few IFRS experts in a company. So you, instead of just outsourcing these projects to the accounting firms, but you can actually learn these things. Yeah. So that's why I said, you know, ShineWing doing this is an amazing initiative. You know, they are not worried about that I will lose a potential client. They are willing to share the knowledge by having this ShineWing education division. Yeah, so heads off to Michael and Ahmadi for such great initiatives. And then we have certificate in business valuation, zero-based accounting software, creating dashboard with Excel, infographics, analyze and visualize data with Power BI, advanced Power BI with DAX, and creating infographics with PowerPoint. Yeah, so this will be the certificates that will be running together with ShineWing Education. I think that's all from me for the collaboration programs. I think along the way we can have continue the discussion, Bu Hani.
Thanks, Pak Manish, for explanation about our collaborations.
Yes.
And in addition to that, actually, as we've been approved as an ACC new approved employers, we have also this privilege of being awarded scholarships or sponsorship from ACCA actually. Although currently it's still under discussions, but once it's approved, it will be beneficial for our professional staff as they can take the ACCA qualifications using this scholarship program. So it's a very good news actually, this one.
That's right, that's right. And I think that's a great benefit for those who are joining the ShineWing Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I can also add, so the ACCA takes part with ShineWing, where ACCA would sponsor 1,000 pounds sterling toward the progression to ACCA membership, Pak Manish. And then, of course, ShineWing already plays the part with supporting in the SP level, right? If you pass the exams, of course. Yes, back to you, Ibu Hani.
Thanks, Bu Hani.
And Bu Hani, just to highlight those, because you're an ACCA approved employer, you know, ACCA members are required to fill 40 CPD points annually.
Yes.
But because you already have the approved employer status, those who join you, ACCA members who join you, they'll be exempted from that CPD requirement. Also, when we want to apply to become a member, we are supposed to fill 9 performance objectives and provide evidence of those performance objectives, and that's a very lengthy process. But because you have already satisfied the requirements of ACCA, so the staffs that are joining you will be exempted from making those evidence of performance objectives, because it is assumed that because they are joining you, you have already done all those evaluations. So that's an exciting thing for somebody who's joining you.
That's right. Yeah, it's just a lot of benefits. So that's why it's come to our next point. Actually, we also open job opportunities for the ACCA alumni to join us as a professional staff. Actually, and without going through any written tests, so we only just like by interview. So for the ACCA alumni, let's join. And if you're interested,
wow, that's great. Yeah,
you can send your CV to our email address, like recruitments@shinewing.id. We also posting the job in the SEC platform program. Actually, it's already there.
Oh yeah. already in the
Yeah,
ACCA portal.
it's a very good collaborations, and we are proud to be a proof employer. Yeah, for ACCA. Okay. That's more or less about human capital learning development at ShineWing Indonesia and all the initiatives, collaborations, which in my opinion is the key to the success of our firm, as people are one of our assets actually. So we appreciate that collaborations. Now, we are all geared up for our seminar, but I would first like to recognize and acknowledge our speakers for this morning. The two gentlemen, Mr. Manish Gidwani and Mr. Alvin Yong, which our first speakers is Pak Manish. Pak Manish is in ACCA member and master degree holder from University of London. He's also certified in data analytics and has been a speaker or trainer for digital transformations in various universities and corporate clients. He has a variety of experience, including was senior auditor in EY for financial services industry, and his clients includes Bank BRI, Bank Mandiri, Bank Jamsostek, ABN AMRO, and all among others. And also as a human resources or accounting system business analyst in Cosmo Consulting Singapore, the Dean in Raffles College, the CEO of Petelan Global Consulting, the IFRS Technical Advisor in ShineWing Indonesia, of course, and
thank you for that, Lu.
CFO, it's important, Pak.
Yes.
CFO in Bernas Yoga, and also CEO London School of Accountancy and Finance. So, and then next, our second speaker is Mr. Alvin Yong. He's a UK registered fellow chartered and certified accountant FCCA. He obtained his Master of Science in Professional Accountancy in 2017 from the University of London. Mr. Yang started his career with KPMG Singapore as an auditor in 1999, where he was involved in the audit, due diligence, and tax multinational corporation in various industries, including shipping and logistics, industrial manufacturing, medical and healthcare, and construction consultancy and investment holding. With strong business acumen, Mr. Yang went on to co-found several companies and has been an entrepreneur for more than 12 years. His companies have served clients across the globe, from US, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia, to Australia. And his current passion is data literacy training, as well as innovation and growth consultancy. He enjoys helping his clients understand the stories that their data tells about their business, thus enabling them to make informed data-driven decisions. So I will hand over this platform to the speakers to start their presentation. Pak Manish, the time is yours again.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Just confirming, Bueni, my voice is clear on your side?
Yes, clear.
Okay, sure. All right. Good morning one more time, and welcome to this session. Today's topic is practical data analytics for professional accountants. I hope you already know. I think everybody knows that data analytics is become the core value. Data is the new gold for accountants. Even as auditors, those who are dealing with data every day, you know that we already have been as auditors at the very first step when we are starting off audit, identifying the material risk statement. So what we do is do analytical procedures, right? So, but it's now. So what is the difference? How come we are now talking about as if it's a new thing? So I'm just saying that for accountants, data analytics is not a new thing. What has changed is the volume of data that we have presented. Imagine the number of handphone users around the world, and the companies now, they are directly tracing all the information, all the social media ads and the posts that the customers are making. So I hope you understand that companies are growing globally. So the volume of data that we are supposed to analyze is huge. So what we want to show today is how can we make it practical, with those great systems. No matter how great is your ERPs, eventually all accountants, they have an Excel in their computer screen, and when the reports are being exported to Excel, then how do we filter this information so that the source of information can be interrelated? Yeah, so we can be extracting data from various sources, and then we could do all the analysis on various sources and provide the insights for business. Yeah, so let me tell you why are we doing this. Yeah, I'll set the scene for this and hand over to Alvin to explain how it is done in the tools. But while technology is a tool, it is not the end goal. Remember that. Yeah, let me set your mind that tools are tools, but it is important as accountants to understand what we want to achieve, is to understand the business goals. Yeah, so Mr. Alvin will be talking a lot about the tools and how it is used, but I want to focus on having a proper understanding of the business requirements and why are we doing this. Yeah, next. So this is a research from ACCA. From ACCA publishes professional insights, and they say that the future of finance professionals, and this is the expectations of anybody who wants to be a progressive accountant. So I want to share with you that when you are providing information, the mindset of an accountant shouldn't be only within the finance department. I'll give you an example. If you are able, let's say you are working in a company, a retail company, and you are able to see, okay, these are the margins, these are the cost variances, these are all the price variances. Yeah, so we have learned all of that, but then all of this information is only with you. Yeah, it's only related to finances, but you didn't realize that you have access. Yeah, remember, you have access to data which the marketing department doesn't have. You have access to data which the production department may not have or may not have understood, right? So isn't it your duty to now widen your scope and say, look, can we have a meeting with the marketing and the production and the other departments, and you as the professional accountant begin to add value by telling them that the data that I have, that I could also analyze that your marketing activity that was done from January to March, this particular activity and this particular post and this particular event was able to generate this much of sales, and this was your return on that particular activity. This activity didn't result in enough returns, so you should let go and you should focus this. So you are making the whole organization data-driven. I hope you got that. The whole organization must be data-driven, must not be only driven by experience, because experience in this current age has some value, but has very little predictive value. Yeah, because what has happened yesterday may not continue today and tomorrow. Right, so this is the thing. In the traditional industry, we would always say, "Oh, this person has worked 30 years. This person has worked 40 years. He has more experience." But his experience is not relevant to what is coming forward. Yeah, so understand the mindset should be more on predictive analysis, and not only predictive, but if you can focus a bit more on doing something called prescriptive that you are able to see that this is what you predict in the coming 1 year, 2 years, and you're able to catch a potential danger, and you're able to warn the company that this is what's going to happen. This is where your inventories are heading. They within a year, this particular product will die off. Yeah, because you have analyzed the customer responses, right? So you have number one, made the company very data driven, and number two, you have made the company you have add value throughout the company. So don't limit yourself to finances. A good accountant is enlarged to the whole organization. So this was the research that you should investors now are expecting accountants to do a lot of investor relationship. So investors do not want to know see the whole audit report. They want to see that you give me in one page, how does this company look like? Give me your predictive analysis, give me your prescriptive analysis, and tell me where is this company heading. Yeah, I don't want to be in a situation where I invest and then you know when you are doing investments in certain startups and like the disaster that happened to WeWork. Yeah, there are so many investors, but the last investor is always trapped because he feels that, oh, I was not able to go any higher, and that's where the crash starts to happen. Yeah. So you as a business person, as an analysis and analytics, you should help the company investors to see this is the fundamental of the company. Yeah, don't go on the trendy valuation, $100 million, $200 million valuation. You're trapping investors, and then you need to help companies to build sustainable organizations. Yeah, not be just a hype of an accountant. So that's why you need to also have strategy formulation, add value to growth. Yeah, so this is something totally new with what is expected of you. Add value to growth, not only providing a report, a wider view of performance, not focusing only on finances, but beyond finance. Forward insights, like what I said, remember two words, predictive and prescriptive, will keep you in the profession. Predictive and prescriptive. And that's how you will be able to grow your career. Next. So the research says the two things that are expected of a professional is, number one, that because of your presence, if you see the red bar, the highest bar is expected is on ethics, and the public is expecting that. Yeah. So with data analytics, one of the use of data analytics is to detect fraud, right? And you previously as an auditor only did sampling, right? 30% sampling, 40% sampling based on the risk. But with data analytics, you're able to have a full-fledged, the 100% of the population can be tested. I give you an example. In the insurance industry, if you are in the insurance industry, you know the hospitals will submit claims. Yeah, and you already have master data. Yeah, I think one of the things that analytics always do is prepare expected values, the master data. So if you already know that certain surgical operations have required this much of expected cost, and then the claims that have come in is double or triple the value, then you need to question. It helps you to trigger to find which areas I should investigate further, right? So that's the whole thing. Yes, instead of doing sampling, you can do full testing. Yeah, so the same goes for other industries. Yeah, your claims for bonuses or your sales being overstated. Yeah, because being a listed company, the pressure is, that when it comes to November, December, which is very sad. Yeah, I don't know if there are any regulators in this group, but I feel very sad to see that this November and December particularly is seen as a time where companies are doing window dressing. Everybody talks about it as if it is okay. Everybody talks about it as if it is expected of what companies and accountants would do. But I feel utter shame. Utter shame. I think Ahmadi will agree with me that if this is the perception of a public accountant, your responsibility to the public is only that, then you shouldn't be in the profession. This is a disgrace to the profession. So how can you enhance all that with so much of data? You need to learn the tools, the technology, to ensure that you have a full picture of the business. So the scope of fraud prevention, the scope of fraud detection is already there. Yeah, so this is one thing. Ethics. The other thing is strategic insights. Your value in your company will be based on how you are now in the front seat. You cannot be in the back seat. Yeah, sitting in your office cubicle and doing your work, and that's all. You are never in the boardroom. You are never giving advices to the management. You are not in the business. You will die off in the business. Yeah? So you need to keep yourself in the profession. You need to add value to the strategic direction of the company. Next. So ACCA has come up with the 5 focuses to ensure the organization is sustainable. You need to be a business transformer, assurance advocate, meaning because of you, there is trust in the company. You need to be helping the company to decide where and how can the company have sustainability as the key focus, adding value to the society, becoming a great corporate citizen. And then you need to be the person who is directing the technology evangelism of the organization. So technology is not only there simply because of the investment, but there are actual business use cases that have been developed. And also the data navigator. You have an extra benefit because you have access to that data, and the data is lying down, and if you're not using it, it is a waste. Next. So remember, digital is not only about technology, it's about people, it's about you. Those who are here watching us, please remember the focus is developing you. Developing you so that you can use those technology. There's no use of technology if you don't know what is the purpose, what is the use, what do you want to derive. So that's the assertion. Next. These are the skills that you need to get to have a high PQ, professional quotient. You need to have a strong vision. You need to have strong EQ, ability to communicate well, which requires good EQ, with the investors, with the stakeholders, digital quotient, creative quotient, intelligence, and technical skills. Next. Quick video. Go ahead, Miss Diaz.
Being a CFO in today's world means always being a step ahead. Oracle, run projections with acquisition bid range increased by 20%. Being a CFO in today's world means always being a step ahead. Oracle, run projections with acquisition bid range increased by 20%.
Hey Mom, can we go to the mountains this weekend? Maddie and Tara are going and they really want to meet up.
I've got an acquisition today and it might get complicated, so let's see how it goes.
Oracle, show me revenue by product. Hey.
Meredith, the new board member, Hannah, says there's a competing bid.
I already reran the financials with the updated revenue data and higher bid numbers.
On it, as always.
Oracle, increase supply chain lead times by 1 week for the EMEA facilities. What does the new merger mean for our debt-to-equity ratio over the next 8 quarters?
Will be higher for the first 2 quarters following the merger, but will stabilize during the 3rd quarter.
How's it looking?
Pretty good. Quarterly bookings are above estimates.
Workforce impact?
Our intelligence performance management system is suggesting that we get 100 reps to get $300 million in sales.
What's the impact of the acquisition on finances with the new bid range?
What about additional supply chain costs?
Our increased production capacity will allow us to reach customers more quickly, more than making up for a 17% increase in cost.
And what about security and compliance standards, slowing down integration?
With our integrated cloud platform, integrations are streamlined and global compliance is always up to date.
The competing bid may increase the purchase price. Will the synergy still be sufficient to justify the price?
We've modeled several competing scenarios and are in a position of strength to increase our bid by 20% and still have the deal be accretive. I mean, this could be really big for us.
Well, I think it's time for a vote. All those in favor?
A competitive bid lead came in this morning. How does she do it?
It's Meredith. She's Superwoman.
Because when you're CFO, tomorrow starts today.
Right. So I hope you see that the why I show you this video, because I this is my assessment that I feel ShineWing wants you to be like this. Yeah. Imagine if all the staff of ShineWing are able to provide projections and give advice. You can imagine the amount of value add that will be for the clients. Yeah. So this is you see, all the words that was being used is projections, about projections. What if there was a competing bid and then they wanted to she already ran, if the additional bid was made, what will be the impact on the finances? Yeah, she was asking the questions about give me revenue per product. There was questions being asked about how if the additional supply chain cost will justify the additional cost of acquisition. Yeah. So the question is, you need to be trained in thinking about, because accountants are trained to think about the past. We need to be trained to think about forward, projections, analysis, prescription, predictive. That should be your engraved mind now, not only about the past. So that's why data is the new goal. You need to have access to real-time data. Data has to be open to all the departments. You will be focusing on getting insights. Traditional roles will disappear. You are already virtual now, and traditional CFO role may not exist. Yeah, next. Yep. Now, let's see the implications of analytics. I think we can skip the evolution of the data analytics for benefit of time. Now, hold on. This is analytics in context. Yeah, I hope to get your attention to see analytics is not the first box. The first box is organizational purpose. Yeah, you need to be clear that your goal is to enhance the strategy of the company in Air Asia is about cost leadership, right? Is to ensure that they are at the most competitive in terms of cost. That is the organization purpose. The organization purpose of Apple is to provide the highest margin per products. The purpose, right? The customer satisfaction is at the highest, right? So organizational purpose must be clear. The purpose of Coca-Cola is to ensure they have the highest market share. They don't care about margins, but it is they want to be the market leader. That's different. So every company has a different organization purpose. So you understand the purpose first. Yeah, the purpose in different sectors are unique. Yeah, in electricity, in a power company, to ensure that there is a consistent power supply in a particular area. Right? So you need to be clear. And then the strategy of the company needs to be also very clear. The strategy is it cost leadership, product differentiation, market development, or are you diversifying? So the strategy is also clear. You have to understand the business model very clearly before you even jump to analytics. Then you need to know how's the data strategy. The data, what are the sources that we are going to use? Is it only the ERP? Do we have data from our CRM? Do we have data from our social media activities? Do we have how much of these activities have been converted? Do we have data from the floor, from the production floor? All right. Do we have data from after sales services? All of this data, I think you will have this data in various systems in different companies. But your role is to integrate all these various sources and then correlate and then provide insights. So these three things must happen first before you start analytics. Yeah, even data needs to be prepared. Yeah, you need to be able to do data cleaning before you actually go into analytics. It has to be set in a certain format, and then decision making. Yeah, so I hope you see decision making is in the organization is very data based, not based on simple assessment on somebody's opinion. Yeah, so the organization will be always one step ahead of the other competitors. Next. So what is the purpose of using analytics? It is there for faster and better decision making. Yeah, you're able to make those decisions with regard to your products. Which products are slow moving? Yeah, which customer is providing the biggest margins? Yeah, which process is the process that is the most profitable? Yeah, which branch, which employee, to that extent. Yeah, when, on which month. All right. So if you are able to do all that, you'll be able to decide quickly that, okay, I need to change this product. I need to change this employee. I need to focus on this particular market. You don't have to wait for a quarterly report to able to make those decisions. Better planning and forecasting process. Forecasting is not a game of magic where you just produce those forecasts. Yeah, if you're an accountant, you know that you need to do the client needs to do going concern assessment. Yeah, and somehow during doing going concern assessment, things always look so beautiful. Yeah, but the forecasting processes, which is using analytics, becomes more clearer. Yeah, that this is where it has happened. This is the business strategy, and this is the factor that will determine the prediction. Yeah, so the forecasting process is more data driven instead of intervention of somebody else. Even the use of analytics for doing internal control testing. Yeah, whether there's certain controls that the company has implemented, is it really happening? Approval processes, right? Who approved? At what time? Who accessed? How often do this person ask questions on approval? What was the processes prior to the approval? There were additional information required. What is if the decision on approval? How can I make it with the formula that, okay, if I want to approve, I must ask for A and ask for B and ask for C, then I approve. Then I could actually set this into my analytics and see whether these three things were there, and then the approval was there. So it can be used for internal control as well. Yeah, insight into performance, improve data quality. Yeah, and you have a clearer strategic development. Yeah, and then your relationship with the stakeholders is easier, because if you are able to analyze, then you are able to visualize. If you are able to visualize, then you are able to communicate. Yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, next. Yeah, let me hand over to Alvin for the benefit of time, so you can take over from here, and we will have this discussion while Alvin is explaining these things. Mr. Alvin, are you here?
Yes, hi.
Yeah.
Everyone. Okay, so let me just start to share my screen. Just give me a while. Okay, are you able to see my screen right now?
Not yet. Yeah, can.
I can see.
Now it's fine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great.
Can see.
Okay, so basically what I do in my work is that just a little background of myself. I started off, being a typical auditor, and then went on to do finance. I was involved in accounting and finance, and after that, I have been an entrepreneur for. After that, I left the accounting profession, and I have been doing my own consulting for the past 15 years or so. Yeah. So I think the key trend right now, it's all about how we are able to make decisions out of the data that we have, right? I mean, so I think the key thing is, at the end of the day, I think most importantly, right now, in terms of data, we have all kinds of data that's available, right? We have historical data, that data that we can get from the company's ERP system or so. Or of course, you have real-time data. So the trend right now, it's very much towards, instead of analyzing past data. So what do you mean by analyzing past data? So for accounts, we are very used to doing month-end closing or so, right? And then after that, when the account is closed, then of course, maybe you have the FP, the financial planning and analysis team, to come and do analysis of the data. So the trend right now, it's still, we still need to do analysis in terms of knowing the past performances. But the availability of the tools right now is more and more towards real-time analysis. What is real-time analysis? That means as and when it happens, we have real-time data to monitor what exactly happens. So it is very possible right now because we have the availability of such what we call tools, BI tool that is available in the market, right? So of course, let's talk about Excel at the very basic, as a financial professional, right? We need to be able to at least use Excel to analyze data. So maybe just for example, okay, so this is a data. Let me just show the data set. Let me just click on the source. So this is the source data, right? If you look at this is actually a source data, in actual data extracted from Lending Club from the United States. It's actually a peer-to-peer lending platform, right? So I've actually extracted it so that and reduced the number of columns accordingly. So if you look at this, they're all together 200 over 1,000 rows of data, right? So you have a lot of data. So how do you make sense of the data, right? So the key thing is that as an accountant or as a finance professional, right, if we are just doing simple data entry or just keeping the records, and of course, just by what we call record keeping, these are something that can be disrupted by AI, right? Because anything that is repetitive can be easily, you can make it on a step-by-step basis. That can be something that you'll be able to replace by AI itself. So of course, very importantly, as a finance professional, we need to move up the value chain, right? We have to move up the value chain in terms of providing extra values, things that are likely not to be able to be done by the machines, right? So we need to be able to think forward, or we need to make sense of the data, right? So the trend right now is, okay, so you have all these data. How do you actually present them, right? So like here itself, we have, we know, basically this is a peer-to-peer lending platform. So they loan out the amount to, let's say, potential borrowers. But because they are just a peer-to-peer lending platform, they are just a facilitator. So someone's come to the platform wanting to loan money, and they will match it with consumer like us who are willing to loan them money, right? So of course, all these you have different, and of course the company will do the credit assessment and allocate your credit score, right? So you have a credit score of A to G. A, of course, being the highest, G is being the lowest. And of course, here you have the data. What is the loan grade of creditworthiness of the borrower, as well as, of course, the interest rate, right? So the interest rate, of course, this data you see is from extracted from year 2015, date issued 2015. So the interest rate ranges from 5% all the way to 29%, right? Reason being, if you are loan grade A, of course, the interest rate is lower, right? If your grade is loan grade G, obviously, naturally your interest rate should be higher as well. So here as well, we have the loan status, whether it's fully paid or it's current, or if you look at it, there are also like in grace period, they are late, and of course there are some that has turned bad, right? The bad debts, because it's been charged off already. And of course, the purpose of the loan, and of course, the state that they are formed. So of course, if you have such big data, right? If you just do it in pivot table format, in tabular format, right? Our brain will not be able to register numbers easily, right? So not only we need to know how to analyze the data, I think key thing is how are we going to visualize the data so that it's easy for us to extract information from it, okay? So let's say, for example, all this what we call a dashboard, visualization, is all done from just this simple set of data, right? So say, for example, one of the key things that we probably want to know is that, okay, what is the annual income of these borrowers, right? So we actually plot out a graph just to know the distribution of the borrower's annual income, right? And here you can see that let me just move it, make it a bit bigger. Okay. And we also want to know across the different months, let's say from January up until July, how is the loan amount distribution by grade, right? So here you can see that, of course, over on month-to-month basis, you don't really see much of a movement. So, but generally you can see that most of the loans are from grade A, A being the one in, this is a stack column chart, A being the one at the lower part of the graph. And of course here, loan B is the one in yellow, and of course, grade C is the one in green. So you can see that on the overall, they probably occupy about 60 to 70% of it. So of course, but if you have a bigger data set, you can see a greater distribution on a year-to-year basis as well, right? But because this data set is too large, I didn't manage to do it. Yeah, I just leave it to be a bit more simple here in terms of demonstration. And here you can see that one question you always want to know is that, okay, what is the purpose of the loan, right? How are these loans used? Sorry. So here we can, so one way of visualizing the data according to, in pie chart, we can also visualize in this format, which is what I call a tree map, which is in square. So here you can see that, okay, the bulk of the loan is actually in debt consolidation, followed by credit card. And of course, if it's doing Excel, nowadays, perhaps in the past, when we do training, it's all about data analysis, right? Only data analysis. But right now, the trend is very much towards, okay, how are you able to visualize the data accordingly? So the trend is very much to know how to visualize the data and how to, to really make it easier for your user to understand the data. Okay, so yep, this is some data set on the it's a dashboard. Sorry, let me just close this file and move on to another data set. Yep. Okay, so the earlier data set we have touched on was a data set on it's more like a finance or banking data set, right? And of course, maybe another data set that's easier for most of us to know is probably what we call the HR data set, right? So let's say here itself, I have the employee records of just a small data set of about 200 over people or 300 over staff. And I have the record on their date of birth, their gender, of course, this is a US data set, their date of hire, their date of employment, the department they are from, their manager, and of course, how their performance score, right? And of course, the employee source. So just from this data set, right, we are able to create a dashboard like this, right? Where here, we want to know specifically for each department, right? How is the performance of the department like? And of course, the distribution of the different generations. And of course, let's say the head count, right? So this is what we call a pivot table. This is what we call a pivot chart. So first of all, we actually did calculations like this. So let me just remove this filter. Okay. So for some of you, you are probably already familiar with pivot table, right? So first of all, you need to, to create a pivot table. So you create a pivot table where you have the distribution of male and female in terms of the employee count. And of course, you also want to do an employee count of all the employees across a different state. And here we have the employee sources, because for HR, it's also important to know, like, okay, what are the typical employee source, right? Because in order to make sure that this company stay competitive, we need to make sure that, we always have a healthy pool of potential employees, right? And here, we also do a count of the number of employees whose performance score, whether they exceed their rating, whether they fully meet the rating or they are actually in needs improvement. We want to analyze by different generations. How are the baby boomers doing compared to, let's say, Generation X, and let's say compared to the millennials? And what about across different job titles as well, right? How are the performance score like? So if we present our data just in a very typical pivot table format, let's say if we bring it to a user who is our bosses, right, or managers, or our board of directors. To them, looking at just numbers like this, it works, but it's not ideal, right? Because what exactly all these numbers mean, right? So the key is knowing how to visualize or present this data effectively in a chart format where a user be able to know specifically, let's say here itself, this is what we call an interactive dashboard. So let's say I have 6 departments in the company. I have the admin officers. So if I'm interested specifically in the admin office, just by clicking on the slide,
Mr. Alvin?
I think the voice is we cannot hear your voice, Mr. Alvin.
Now, you can hear him now?
Yeah, yes, it's clear.
Yep, okay, now it's great. So sorry about it. I'm not sure what happened to my computer earlier. So, okay, so here itself, we have a dashboard, right? So we want to know, because a lot of times, right, we also want to make our graph interactive so that a user will be able to interact with the data. Because we do have to understand that a lot of time, most of our users, they may not be very proficient with tools like Excel, right? And they may not really know numbers as well as an accountant, right? So, but looking at visuals, right, they will be able to know and interact with visuals easily. So here itself, I will be able to know that, okay, for the admin officers, I have 87% who are millennials, 13% who are Generation X, right? In terms of employee sources, most of the employee sources for admin officers is actually from the website banner ads, followed by diversity job fair. And what about the performance in the department? So here itself, we can see that yes, Generation X, 100% of them actually have the rating of fully meet, right? Millennials, only 50% of them have fully meet, right? And of course, this is the performance by the job title. And then we can click on another department like production. Do you see that this changes automatically as well, right? So it makes it easy, right? And of course, if I want to know like software engineering department, so I just need to click on the department for software engineering. And of course, if I want to know the whole company wide, I just need to remove all the filter, and I know that across the company, there are 197 total headcount. And of course, these are the performance across the company itself. Yeah. And just using a similar data set, right? This is data set. Okay. So as an accountant, we also need to know what is the purpose of our report. Why do we need a report for? Is it just for a monthly reporting, or is it a yearly assessment thing? Or we need to tell a story about, let's say, a certain occurrences in our company, right? So just by using the same data set for different purpose, we also need to know how to actually position it differently. So say, for example, if you look at this same data set, maybe your management or the HR department specifically say that, okay, they want to know how are the millennials doing in the organization, right? Millennials, right now, of course, we know that they are the largest workforce in most organizations right now, right? So you want to know specifically for millennials, how are they doing compared to other generations, right? So you also, just from the same data set, you can also create what we call an infographics, right? So an infographics tell a story, right? So in terms of the story, you can present it such a way. This is also similarly just using simple Excel. So you will be able to know that, okay, what are the millennials in, let's say the company is called ABD Limited. I mean, in the past, we always say millennials are the job hopping generation, right? Are they true? Is it true or not? Okay, so they want to know that, okay, so you want to present your data, right? This is to inform or to tell a story about the millennials in your organization. So who is the typical millennials in the organization? So you can say that 51% of our, of course, all these, you have to do calculations at the back, right? If you look at this, these are all a lot of calculations. But of course, if you are just presenting it in numbers like this, immediately people will look at this and they'll say, oh, just too many numbers. They will not be able to recognize what hard work you have done, right? So at the end of the day, a lot of accountants or a lot of analysis, we focus a lot in just numbers crunching. But we need to up our, up the value in terms of how to present it visually or how to tell a story from the data. Versus if you do all your numbers in just, numbers like this, versus if you put them in a really nice graphical and informative format, it's easy for people to digest your information as well, right? So here you can see that what are their typical job profiles. Okay, we'll know that out of 100% of the millennials in your organization, 54% of them are in software engineering, 22% in admin offices, 14% in sales and etc. And what are the typical job title they take up in the organization? 33% is from the production technical 1, and etc., right? Followed by production technical 2, area sales manager. These are the top 5 positions in the company. How is their performance like compared to the other generations? So millennials have a performance score of 3 or more, 94% versus 92% for. So in terms of performance, they are marginally better than other generations. But I would say 2% difference, if you talk about statistically speaking, it's not too significant, right? So, but it's not true that millennials are not performing as well as, let's say, Generation X or the baby boomers, right? Because they say that, yeah, they are at least on par, or here in this case, clearly shows that they are slightly marginally better. And what about their performance in the respective department? So you can see that for millennials, 96% of them actually outperform in the production department compared to, let's say, 92%. Whereas in the IT department, millennials only have like 93%. So they are not performing as well as the other generations in the IT and IS department. So all these visuals are done just by using Excel. And of course, we know that Excel has been around since the longest time, right? So probably this spreadsheet is around for the longest time, right? But of course, we also know in terms of Excel, as much as you can create visuals like this, there are also limitations, right? One limitation is that it cannot be done on a real-time basis, right? You always have to have someone draw up the visuals, updating the data or so. So because of the need to have information on the spot, right? So this is, of course, we know that it's a Microsoft product. So Microsoft has a new BI tool, which is what we call Power BI, right? So Power BI essentially is a real-time analysis tool where, first of all, you actually do up this tool on your desktop, right? How you want your report to look like. And after that, you can publish it into a cloud system, and a user can actually just go online and just look at the real-time analysis. This is what we call real-time, right? Because a lot of time nowadays, in terms of ERP system, is also live. A lot of system is live, right? I mean, for a lot of, let's say, e-commerce, all transactions are done in cloud, right? Of course, if it's in cloud, it also means that analysis can be done real time as well. So as long as you have proper data connection, you have proper data refresh schedule, right? You'll be able to know at any one moment how are you achieving your targets or no. So say, for example, the data sources are, let me just show you. Okay, maybe I should. Okay, so this is actually a sample data of all the different plants that you have. Here itself, you have, so this way you can see that the interface, this data view is a little like Excel data in grid, right? And you also have the defect type. So here itself, these are all the defect type. The category, let me see, the vendor, and of course the material type, and the category. And of course, here itself, they want to know what are the defect type and the total downtime across all the different plants. So you can see that we have a lot of information, right? We have the defect type, the material that is defective, the plant. So you'll be able to analyze across all your different plants. So of course, here you see the plants, they are of course all in the States, right? Right, it's all in the States. And you have across different vendors. So here itself, you'll be able to analyze, okay, what are the supplier quality, right? And of course, the top-bottom analysis. You'll be able to know that what are the raw materials like, the defect type it's because of, let's say in this case, because of raw material, because of film, because of labels or so. And you can interact with the data accordingly. So this is a new tool by Microsoft, where you can actually interact with the data real time as well. So essentially, if this is published onto the web portal, you can actually analyze the data real time, right? And all this will be refreshed automatically. So in the past, we are very used to having the idea that every month, every time a boss needs a report, a human needs to be involved in updating the report, right? But moving forward, there are always tools where, yes, you need to first create the report, right? Because you know the user what exactly they want. But subsequently, in terms of updating the report, it will automatically be done, right? Because especially if your data is, sitting with a database or cloud database, you'll be able to set all these automatically. And the benefit of, let's say, using this thing called Power BI is that you can also interact with the data, right? So Microsoft also have this AI engine, right? So let's say all this data you have done it up and you want to know a specific question, right? You can interact with data just by using the machine learning capability of the Power BI system, right? So let's say you have a certain question. You can ask the question about your data. You can say that, what is the planned downtime by plant? Something like that, So they may show you, okay, how is the downtime like or so. Okay? If not, you are also able to look at this and look at what are the suggestions of the AI or machine learning capability. So like say here itself, give me the top plants by number of matrix, right? So you can click on this and they will be able to, of course, these are still new, relatively new by, the engine. So sometimes you can find that this is useful. So some are not so useful yet, right? Yep. So you can always just give the feedback whether it's a useful matrix or not, right? Let me see if I have other, never mind. Okay, so let's say you look at show total downtime minutes max, right? So here itself, they will tell you that the max number of downtime is 160K in minutes, right? So, yep. So the thing is that as an accountant or as a finance professional, right? We want to provide more and more value to our organization so that, of course, if you are able to provide better value, right, you are able to provide better insights. Naturally, you are also increasing your, you're able to command, let's say, a premium in terms of a salary, right? So I think that's the key is not just doing the basic of what is expected. Of course, what is expected is, we need to know numbers crunching, we need to know some form of data analysis, right? But the thing is that how are we going to, separate ourselves from the rest, who are also doing the same, right? Which is to take one step further in terms of really, really being really good in business intelligence, providing good information from, or at least, first of all, know how to visualize your data in a clear and concise way so that the user, just by looking at your analysis in visual format, they will be able to make quick decisions, right? And of course, after that, beyond that, you can actually ask better questions or, let your, your bosses have a better idea of things moving forward. Okay. So I think I'm not doing too much of a walkthrough in terms of taking you from grounds up, in terms of how do you go about creating all these. Of course, all this is a skill that you need to pick up. How do you go about creating the charts, the visuals accordingly? Okay.
Mr. Alvin,
Yep.
One of the things that I shared earlier was that, after we already visualize and
Yep.
how you showed the infographics, then we will do the analysis, giving them what is the user expecting. But then after that, the real value is added when we do predictive. So can I understand from you if the audience that we have today can also have tools that can help them to do some predictive analysis and subsequently do prescriptive, that okay, I'm supposed what the company should do, like how you showed the millennials are performing only marginally better by 2%, or so then that is one set of data. Like here you showed about all their sales performance, and also how about the prediction tool? Is there a prediction tool, or is it something we develop ourselves?
I think for the prediction tools, you need to set it up, and of course in Excel there's also prediction tool as well, right? But I have not prepared some of these data that I have. But even within Excel itself, let me just show you.
Yeah, that's fine. As long I just wanted them to know that they need to get there also.
Yep. So I think at the very first place, most importantly right now, it's really mastering how to visualize the data and present the data, and then after that to bring it one step in terms of predicting the data accordingly. Yeah, but of course we all know in terms of data prediction, there's always let me just see. Yeah, there's always we need to know, because some predictive analytics, if you really want, you can use what we call the R script, or the Python script itself. Yeah, and of course all these you probably need to learn it on a separate basis. Yeah.
Also the tools that you showed, the number of columns. I mean they wouldn't be able to decide what to do with it if they didn't understand the business process also, right? What exactly HR wants, what they want to know, and what are the value chain in that HR. Okay, is it the training, and how is the performance change before the training and after the training? So I believe the emphasis is still our ability to ask those right questions. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the key thing is that you have the same data, right? Throughout my trainings, a lot of time, the question is always, how do you actually, just by looking at the data, how do you actually present the data in a way that address the questions of the users, right? So most importantly, you need to know what your users want, what type of questions or what kind of analysis do they want to get from the data set, right? So understanding, I think the key is also understanding what your data wants. It's not, what your users want, right? So if you really know what your users want, then you can, play data and then try to extract it out and just try to see, what exactly you can get from the data itself, right? And of course, after that, to present it in a really good format. And like Manish talking about the predictive tools, right? Even just from Excel, here itself they have this data analysis tool where you can look at correlationship, right? And of course, they also have this predictive, like one predictive tool we talk about is regression analysis, right? So which means they are just trying to look at the past data and trying to find a correlation and trying to project it forward. So that's what we call a regression analysis. Yeah,
that's right. If for auditing, we are often asked to do things like doing NRV testing. Seeing whether the inventory that is being sold, will it be sold above the price, above the cost, or below the cost? So I believe that that use case can also be put even in data analytics, because you're able to plot out, right? Instead of just asking for the inventory aging report, you can actually plot out, right, that a specific product and to the minute details that this particular product code and then how it has been there from the time it was bought and raw materials to the work in progress and finished product, and then where it has been, So is there a way to use this for NRV testing, Mr. Alvin?
Yes, definitely. I think it is possible. So, but I mean, offhand, I don't quite understand the scenario, but it is definitely possible.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight that NRV testing is one thing which auditors can use, since many of them are here auditors.
Yep.
And another thing that we use it is for the IS 36, when we are supposed to do impairment analysis, right?
Yep.
To see whether the asset has been impaired. Also, in other things like if you're talking about IFRS 9, we have to do the ECL calculation.
Yep.
So we are supposed to do credit ratings on the different receivables that we have based on their past payment cycle. So I just want the audience to understand that there are so many use cases.
Correct.
There are tools, but it's important to position it well, and the flow should be correct, like what you shared. We have to be able to visualize it, analyze it, and then understand what exactly we want. So, Mr. Alvin, me and you are supposed to give some questions for door prize. So
Okay.
would you like to pose the first question?
Yeah. Before I do that, since you talk about forecasting, right, or predictive. So here I have kind of a sample that I got from Microsoft here, where the forecast is actually based on what we call a historical time series. So here, let's say we have the data of the airport passengers from year 2009 up until September 2013. So you want to have like a forecast exactly what are the airport passengers going to be like in terms of the growth. So in Excel, there is actually a tool where you can actually forecast. So here you can see the blue line itself is the actual data. But here you can see these are the forecasted. So of course, when you do forecast, there's always a range, right? We'll call it a confidence range, because it's always just a forecast. So you want the range to be like, let's say 10%. So the upper bound is the higher confidence range. The lower bound is the lower confidence range, right? So you can see that, okay, estimate, it should be between the upper bound and the lower bound, right?
Okay. So this can be configured, Mr. Alvin? Like if I'm doing analysis on the share price, for example,
correct.
Like how we do the technical analysis on the support price and the resistance price. So we can set the support and the resistance in the analysis itself.
I think the tool itself, it was not really. So this is mainly based on one metric, right? Which is one input, which is the price itself, and then you can set the range. Like this is the forecast, and what is the range of data, right? So I will not really say in terms of support resistance, but it's just that they forecast a price and then they just add, let's say 10% up and 10% to the bottom.
I want to tell the audience that, AirAsia does a lot of revenue management by seeing how's the impact of prices and the number of tickets being sold. So that's why the pricing can move on certain days, because they have done prediction that at a certain price, this was the plot, this was the ticket sold, and so they were able to maximize revenue using this price and sales analysis. So the revenue management it's an excellent example, Mr. Alvin, how what you shared is so important.
I think for that itself, I think when it comes to revenue management, that's also, I would say that belongs to the data science team, because that itself, it's a different study altogether.
Yes. But I mean, it's something that we need to learn, because revenue falls within the scope of finance professionals as well.
Yes,
but I mean,
I think we do need to know predictive revenue like this. But in terms of real-time data science, like example, the recommendation engine of Netflix, or and like say, just by how many times you visit the website, how many users are looking at the price, the AirAsia will change the price accordingly, right? Let's say, for example.
Yes.
Right? All these, I think, yes, there's a certain input from the account side, but there's also certain matrix that's really built in from the data analytics side. So, of course, if you're able to transition from a finance person to fully do data analytics, right? Not say data, predictive analytics or data science. Yeah, definitely, that's also a very lucrative career change as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't really want to call it a career change, but I think having multiple skills like that, it's an interesting thing that I'm personally interested in. So that's why I'm learning things like Python and R programming. Yeah, just to match up with you, Alvin. Yeah. So should we post our questions? I think since we only have 15 minutes left.
Yep.
So what question would you like to ask the audience? Because there's a door prize arranged by the committee.
Excuse me, Mr. Alvin.
Yes.
I saw from the chat there's one question from
Let me just see.
Sure. So, should we ask questions or answer the questions first?
Yeah, that's the question is how to filter unnecessary data.
How to?
We can answer the question first.
Okay. Let's answer the questions first. Okay.
What is the question?
It's they're asking about how to filter unnecessary data.
How to filter unnecessary data.
Yes.
The question you need to ask yourself, what do you deem to be unnecessary, right? Example, if it's a zero value, right, or null, right, maybe in your data set itself. I mean, one key thing before we do analysis, right, is always knowing your data. So sometimes your data set contains, let's say null value, right, which is not necessarily zero, but it's just values that are omitted out. So the question you need to ask yourself with that, why are there such null value, right? So how do you want to treat null value? So sometimes what some people do is that they actually take either you completely omit the rows out, so you filter that out, right? You just remove them. Or what some people do is that they just fill the null value with the average of the nearest number. So it's something you need to ask yourself, how did this so-called, what we call dirty data came about, right? And how do you want to treat them? Yeah. So I think that is the very first thing you need to ask yourself. Remove them completely, or to average them up, or fill them up with a certain value. Yep. I hope that answers the question.
I hope so. Shall we continue for another question? There's another posting question as well.
Yes.
From Ibrahim Aryon.
Okay.
I wonder, how can we make the data speak loudly to the board? What are the basic mindset of knowledge needed so that we can present, visualize strategic information that can be predictive and prescriptive?
I think the key thing, before we do up any data or before we analyze the data, we need to think in the perspective of the users, right? Because ultimately, we are what we call the report creator, correct? But at the end of the day, it will be consumed, let's say, by the board of directors. So we all know that, let's say you are preparing a report during board meetings. You are probably given 5 minutes, 10 minutes to present your data only, right? So how do you present it in a very precise and concise manner? So like we mentioned, if you are just showing the board of directors just numbers, let's say if you did project it on the screen, numbers on the screen from far away, it will not look as interesting as things in the visual format, right? So the key thing is how do you actually visual or tell a story of the data, right? So I think that's the key thing we need to come about, right? So it's not just analyzing the data, but how do we actually put it in a way that is visually appealing and tell a concise story.
Okay. Another questions? I have a question from Anthony Latai.
Okay.
I have a question related to the predictive analysis. Usually, when we are performing audit, we use prescriptives since we are looking at historical information or past events.
Yep.
How are predictive analysis helpful in the audit procedures and to what specific aspect?
Manish, maybe since you have audit practice, so maybe how do you think? Maybe Manish can answer that.
Sure. Gidwani, can you repeat that question?
Okay. This is related to the predictive analysis.
Yeah.
Usually when we are performing audit, we use prescriptives since we are looking at historical information or past events. So how are predictive analysis helpful in the audit procedures and to what specific aspect? That's a question.
How is predictive analysis particularly used for auditing? That's what is the question, yeah? Okay. So for predictive analysis, like what I was saying, when we are reporting, when we are doing audit, one of the things that we need to report is the going concern assessment. Because if the company is not has any material inconsistencies, material uncertainties, we need to be able to report it under the ISA 570. So those material uncertainties, how do we know? So far, what we do in the client is we only ask the client to do their own assessment on the material uncertainties, and they provide a forecast for the next 12 months, and then we see that and we are fine with it. But then, what about our own understanding of that going concern? Yeah, because the clients is the data provided by client, the level of reliability is less according to the standard, right? So if we want to have more credible analysis, then we need to do our own forecast. So instead of only relying on the client's going concern assessment, so I would take the data from their past cash flows, for example, how they have been servicing their loans, and then the business plans that they have, and then we would be able to actually see whether the forecast provided by the client is very close to what we have prepared. So that will be, because if you are not able to satisfy going concern, then the whole reporting will change. Another area where predictive analysis can be used is in terms of, for example, the implementation of the revenue standards. Yeah, in the revenue standards, where when you are bundling products, so when you're like you buy a certain network package and you get a handphone free, or you buy a car, you get service free, and then you set 2 or 3 or 4 products are combined together in a bundle price, and the standard requires us to do unbundling. And when you're doing unbundling, we are supposed to do the analysis on the standalone selling price, the SASP. So we can use the predictive analysis that all this, normally the question is that what is the standalone selling price? And the client will say, we don't have, it is always bundled. Then now we have to then get our own data, right? So then you can input all of these data from other companies within the sector and see what would be the predictive value of this product, another product, and then within the product in the bundle, and then you'll be able to come up with your SASP, the standalone selling price. Another area is IFRS 16, where you're supposed to do leasing, where you're supposed to calculate the the value of the your right to of use asset and your lease liability, assuming that if the asset was actually based on, it was financed using a borrowing, what will be the implicit rate that we will use for discounting the cash flows. So again, we can use the predictive analysis to identify that exactly this is the rate that is, because that what currently is happening now, Bueni, people are just simply using the asking the bank to provide a rate that if I was to borrow, this will be the rate. But actually, the requirements in the standards are not only that. You're supposed to see that this type of asset for this much of borrowing and for this many for this duration, what will be the interest? What will be the return? So compiling all of that and then seeing that the rate of return that will be used for leasing, you need to use the data analysis there. So I see various tools. I think we could have a separate session on this, Bueni, about how to specifically use it for auditing purposes.
Okay, thank you, Pak Manish.
Yeah.
Hope answer the questions. And there another question is coming. If you can see it on the chat from Amelia. So I'm currently learning Power BI in Excel. Where should I start? That's the first question. Can you give me what or where I can learn the program language? What basics should I have so that I can understand the functions? It's about a BI in Excel.
Yes.
Okay. So actually looking at, I'm not quite sure what you mean by learning Power BI in Excel, because Power BI and Excel, they are two separate tools. But nonetheless, perhaps looking at this question, Amelia's question and Banho's question, I think what program is best to use. I think first of all, I think you need to, and the first question I need to ask you is, are you doing it for your organization, right? If you are doing it for your organization, then of course we are also limited by the tools that it's available in your organization, correct? So let's say if you are doing analysis work to be presented to your boss directly, right? Or to be distributed by users of another department of your organization, then I would just say the most basic tool that most organizations have right now will be Excel, right? So Excel is it's a built-in tool that most corporate users will have. So if you only have Excel, then I would just say, yes, then you just make the best of what you have, right? Because some of these presentations or the visualizations that I showed you earlier, those are all done in Excel, right? So in my experience dealing with clients from Indonesia, I think most of these corporate clients, I have corporate clients from banks, from finance, from manufacturing or so, most of them are still using primarily Excel. So I would just say that if Excel is the main tool that you have, start with Excel. But of course, the trend, it's also towards real-time analysis. So let's say for countries like Singapore, in Malaysia, we use companies increasingly move away from just Excel and towards Power BI. Right? So you can, if you have not started doing anything yet, I would say start with Excel and then you can move on to Power BI, right? But of course, Power BI, it's still relatively new, but it's a very highly in demand, skills, right? Because a lot of organizations, they are also adding Power BI into their suite of Microsoft product that is being used in the organization.
Yeah. Bu Annie, I want to say to Amelia that one of the things that we are doing with ShineWing Education is to actually launch these programs, this learning Excel dashboard and analysis. So that's why that the partnership with ShineWing Education involves London School of Accountancy and Finance and Oligan Singapore founded by Alvin. And with these programs about the learning BI, learning Excel dashboard, and for infographics, all of these is something that we will be doing together. So it will be great if you think that these are some things that you want to learn. I think we will be launching these programs soon, and I think Bu Eni can keep in touch with you, Amelia.
Okay, thank you, Pak Manish and Alvin. And sorry, we are about running out of time actually, but there's another one. There are one more questions from Dana. Maybe I just do this. Which one is the best from practical using Power BI or company developed program by their own or customized? Which stage of company life cycle best to use them? So let's start with Power BI.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I think in the past, most organizations would want to develop their own system, right? But I think right now, there's just the availability of so many software as a service, right? Unless your company is an IT organization, right? You have the capability of programmers or so, then I would say it makes sense to develop your own program. But let's say you are maybe a manufacturing concern or maybe banks or so, right? The challenge of developing your own program is that not only when you need to have the knowledge to develop it, you also need to have the knowledge to keep updating it. So it's a significant cost. So, and a lot of times I see a lot of organizations, even they have developed a huge system that they used in the past, but they have since moved on to software as a service tools like Power BI or let's say Tableau, right? Because like Power BI, you have a professional team that keep updating the program on a month-to-month basis, right? And you just pay, like example, Power BI, you are just paying about USD $100 per user per year by the organization. Of course, if you bundle in, not $100, USD 9.99, I think, per month. But of course, as an organization, they will have a enterprise bundling, right, with your Excel or whatsoever. So it's a special pricing as an enterprise as well. Compared to developing your own program, it probably costs a few hundred thousands USD, a few million USD.
Correct. I think having a cloud-based applications like BI is a way easier to save cost on that. And I think the other question was about at which stage of company life cycle is best to use them. There is a little misperception about that. Okay, only when you become big, when you have a lot of data sets, only then you should use data analysis. But my view, I don't know, Alvin, you please feel free to share your view. But my view is, in fact, from the very beginning, when you're in your early stages, where you have the discipline of compiling data, you have a discipline of guiding the culture of the organization to be data-driven instead of driven by only the CEO. Then you will develop a good culture that every time you make a decision, you will ask, are you sure that you want to increase this pricing? Are you sure that we want to cut off these costs? What does the data show? So I in my view, it's better to start off early rather than later. Alvin, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think nowadays it's all about making data-driven decisions. So the key is you need to make sure you start data collection as early as possible. Yes, because the key is when, let's say now, let's say 5 years later, you decide to let's turn the organization to a data-driven decision. But the question is, do you have past data to predict future data, right?
Exactly.
So say, for example, if you're an e-commerce store, you need to collect all the data in terms of the different touch point, right? Where they click, where are their sources, right? Example, or even you operate a physical store, you also need to keep track, if possible. Why we always have customer loyalty program, correct? These are all tools for organization to track the users, what actually, because at the end of the day, you know your user profiles or your customer profile and how you can increase what we call the customer lifetime value. So data collection needs to start as early as possible.
That's right. That's right. Gidwani?
Okay, thank you. I think there's no more questions. So we already past 12 o'clock now. Maybe I don't think
so, Gidwani, are we still giving out the prize?
Yes. So it's there will
and
be,
also we need to show the feedback form. Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there will be 5 persons. Yeah, got the prize. So Hani, maybe you can.
Yeah, I think the first one is Bun Holt, yeah, Ibu. Bun Holt ACCA MM, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then the second one is that Ibrahim?
Ibrahim, yeah. Yes.
Ibrahim. And then the third one is Anthony.
Yes.
And fourth is Amelia.
Yes. And the fifth one is
Susana.
Okay.
Yes.
So, congratulations, for those who won the prize.
Yeah, congratulations all.
The prize is from the SCCA and also the book Orida, which is signed by the authors. This one of them is our CEO, Michelle Suharli. So it's congratulations again. Okay. So we are about to almost come to an end of this event. As a reminder, please complete the feedback. The link is in the screen. So, the materials will be sent to you accordingly. So once again, thank you for the active participants. Again, thank you for Pak Manish and Mr. Alvin sharing a very detailed and practical presentation, which is include the examples as well, which is I'm sure it's all points. The Q&A are all relevant and applicable for professionals who involved in real data analytics. So thank you again for joining our seminars. And
sure. Bu Annie, should we take a picture together?
Pictures,
This is the historic day to remember.
Yeah, okay. So just let us know. Siapa Pak yang ambil dari?
Miss Tias, can you help with that?
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Jadi info ya.
Okay.
The participants can turn on the video too, right?
Yes. Maybe waiting for 1 minute first to all the participants who to turn on the camera first. So there will be 8 pages here. So maybe bear with me to take a picture for you.
That's a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so for first page, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so prepare for the second page. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, prepare for the third page. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, prepare for the fourth page. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think for the 5th, 6th, and 8th, there is no video turn on.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bu Annie and
Thank you.
Ahmadi and
Everyone.
Bu
So
Michael, Bu Hani.
Alvin, thank
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Alvin, so
everyone.
much.
have a wonderful weekend.
So
Have a
good.
good
Stay safe
weekend
and
ahead.
healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Bye,
Have a great
everyone.
weekend, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.